Hello makers! It's Julian. And today I'm gonna do something with this, which is some helping station supposed to be used for soldering? I don't know. I'm not one of these English peoples. I'm going to destruct one of these things, which has these two clamps that are made for like holding circuit boards or something, and a magnifying glass and this heavy metal base. All of these things are really unimportant to me, and what is important to me is are all these ball and socket joints that are in between these components, because they are basically what you would find in a professional stop motion armature. A little heavier, a little bigger, a little bulkier, with these big wing nuts. Usually there wouldn't be wing nuts on a stop motion armature because they take too much space. Usually a stop motion armature would have little Allen screws, so when you want to adjust the armature while shooting, you can make a little slit in your character, in your puppet, through like silicone or foam rubber or whatever you're using, and put a tiny Allen key in there and adjust the tightness of your joints. I thought maybe I'm not gonna use these pieces to make a character, but to make a rig, and use this old comrade that you might remember from the snake monster stop motion video. I'm gonna make a rig for this character, so that instead of tightening the feet to the stage that you're filming on with screws, and then basically having to loosen the screw, make one step, tighten it again, loosen the other screw, and make these kind of stupid looking walking movements, I could do what professionals do: put a rig on the back of the character and then do like real nice movements and jumps, and letting him bounce and run and do all kinds of realistic movements. But therefore I have to do some more things. For example, I have to take all these pieces apart. I don't need the magnifying glass. I have actually a second one of these things, so I'm gonna need this rod with the two ball socket ball joint ends. I'm gonna give it a bigger base plate from wood, so it's heavier and just bigger, so it doesn't tip over too quickly. Then I'm gonna do some testing with my character, and 1, 2, 3, let's begin. So I'm gonna open these screws and take out these alligator clips that I'm not gonna use at all. And then I can take off the magnifying glass, which I'm also not gonna use, except maybe I will try to take out this ball joint later, because it's just another metal ball that fits in these joints to the main joints. Just opening up the wing nuts. It's one joint, two joints. These middle pieces that are ball joints with like a hole. Then the main steel rod with two ball ends. And then another ball end with holy part. So we can actually leave this double ball joint part on there and put the rod in the second hole and tighten that, and then we already have half. Now, because I bought two of these whole packages I have another rod, and I can connect it with another of these double ball joint connectors. Just put the two balls in and tighten it. But as you can tell, if it just leans forward, it's already not heavy enough, the base. So you can imagine if there's a puppet here, it's way too light. So I'm gonna make a second larger, heavier base plate, and then I'm gonna try to rig my action figure. So I have my new base and I have my extended rigging arm, and now I can attach it here and voila! It is long, it seems stable, it is heavy and sturdy on its new base, and there's a lot of space here, so in theory you could add more weight. So let's prepare the action figure for being rigged to this rig. Alright, back with the action figure with the screw in the back, and here we have the rig. Now I think it's gonna be pretty close to the body, this screw right here. I can put it on the top, then I think I can do it by hand. Maybe tighten it with some pliers anyway, so it's really tight and doesn't move around. Because the action figure is very light, I think it's gonna work. If it was heavier we could glue this nut with epoxy or super glue or hot glue really firmly in place, and then it couldn't move at all. But because it's so lightweight, it also can't move at all the way it is now. Let's check. You see any movement? I do not see any movement. Jaeyun, do you see any movement?
No.
You heard it. There's no movement. So, let's do a little animation test. So as you saw in the last very wonky animated clip, I added a couple of weights, and although I'm not the best animator, I could already tell how much such a construction improves the work and improves the workflow and improves the possibilities of what you can even do. For now, I'm gonna leave this rig like this, I think, because the character that I'm animating, the puppet, is very lightweight. But if I ever were to use a heavier puppet, I think I would change the screws, or at least put like tight lock or some other material on the screws so that the nuts fit really tightly, and if you don't loosen them by hand, they stay like that. So I think then you could put even more weight on the rig. Woo! Ah! Why wouldn't you want to subscribe to this stuff? See you next week.